From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, March 28th. Some quiet weather this morning to start the work week. Lots of sunshine and light winds. Those are the good things, but it's going to be cold this morning in the 20s. We started out. It'll climb into the low to mid 40s. The Howard County coroner confirmed this morning that a woman did die in an overnight house fire. It happened just before 3 a.m. at the Somerset Apartments. The coroner says 69-year-old Glenda Newton was found dead. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. No one else was hurt. Police haven't said what caused the fire. All right, now to the Oscars. An onstage slap stuns a worldwide audience. It happened during the Oscars ceremony after Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. That's the moment it became clear to the audience that Will Smith was not acting. He walked back to his seat after he slapped Chris Rock and then shouted at Rock. Smith stayed in the theater and later won Best Actor for his role in King Richard.
I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said. I look like crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things.
The Academy's public response so far has been a statement saying the Academy does not condone violence of any form. This morning, many are asking why Smith was allowed to stay in the building. The Academy hasn't yet responded to those questions. In a moment that was planned, the Academy honored those suffering from the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian-born actress Mila Kunis paid tribute on stage. Kunis and her husband, actor Ashton Kutcher, raised more than $30 million for refugees fleeing the country.
Recent global events have left many of us feeling gutted. Yet when you witness the strength and dignity of those facing such devastation, it's impossible to not be moved by their resilience. One cannot help but be in awe of those who find strength to keep fighting through unimaginable darkness.
The speech led into a performance by Reba McEntire. Then there was a 30-second moment of silence and a plea for the global community to do more to help. Peace talks could start back up as early as today, according to a member of the Ukrainian delegation. As Amy Kiley explained, some U.S. officials say the power to stop the war lies with the Russian people themselves.
Turkey says it's hosting talks between Ukraine and Russia this week, but some say the people who could end the war might not be at the negotiating table.
Putin's jeopardy are the Russian people. They're already in the streets. There'll be millions more as they find out what is going on.
That last part is the problem. Russian President Vladimir Putin is making it hard for his people to learn the truth about what's going on in Ukraine.
I never watch Russian television because it's just too hard to see how they lie to their own people. I have my own family members back in Russia who believe that there is no civilians targeted by the Russian military.
Here's the Ukrainian president speaking to independent Russian journalists Sunday.
We won't sit down at the table at all if all we talk about is some demilitarization or some denazification. For me, these are absolutely incomprehensible things.
He told the journalists about the horrors in the besieged city of Mariupol.
A humanitarian catastrophe inside the city is unequivocal because it is impossible to go there with food, medicine and water. The Russian military is shelling humanitarian convoys.
Ukraine says it's still hard to get people out of the city despite new humanitarian corridors for civilians.
Now, at the end of the day, the regime in Russia will be determined by the Russian people. And I hope the Russian people will make those decisions going forward.
It will be a decision by Ukraine and Russia on how this ultimately ends.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The U.S. ambassador to NATO says the United States has no plans for regime changes in Russia. It comes after President Biden said Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. Julianne Smith says that Biden wasn't actually calling for Putin to be toppled. She says it was a human response after seeing firsthand the tragedies of war, but that it is not policy. The White House also clarified this weekend that Biden wasn't talking about regime change, but asserting that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise military power against neighboring countries. Political foes are keeping up their criticism of Republican Indiana Senator Mike Braun. Braun said during a virtual news conference last week that the Supreme Court should leave it up to states to decide whether interracial marriage should be legal. Braun later walked back the answer, saying he misunderstood the line of questioning. Sunday, on All Indiana Politics, the chairman of the Indiana Democratic Party said that's not good enough.
And I don't think that his apology necessarily holds water. I think, again, 3 times you're asked a question as clear-cut as this, something that was decided by the Supreme Court, I believe, in 1967, Loving versus Virginia. And he was very clear. It was yes or no. He said yes. He answered that question and only backpedaled hours later when the firestorm and the media attention really kind of took off. And I think he was like, oh, boy, got to put the toothpaste back in the tube here. And by the time that happened, it was too late.
Mike Schmoltz says Braun needs to be held accountable for his words. You can catch All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30 on Wish TV. A suspect is in the hospital after police say he fired several rounds inside a Southside strip club. Officers believe the 28-year-old man had been ejected from Club Onyx, came back, and opened fire inside, hitting at least one person. It happened just before 5 yesterday morning. A security guard fired back, hitting the suspect. Investigators are now working to learn if anyone else was involved. A police chase through parts of 2 counties ends with a deadly collision. Greenfield police say it started in Henry County Sunday evening and ended at State Road 9 and McLaren Drive in Greenfield. A motorcycle that police were trying to stop hit another vehicle on State Road 9. The driver of the motorcycle died. Medics took the second driver to the hospital. Police haven't said how badly that person is injured. We are working to find out the name of the motorcyclist and why the chase started in the first place. Another spokesperson for the president has tested positive for COVID-19. Deputy Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre got the results Sunday after returning from President Biden's trip to Europe. Her boss, Jen Psaki, did not make the trip because of her own positive test. Jean-Pierre says that she is only experiencing mild symptoms. The White House says she did travel on Air Force One with the president during his trip to Europe, but is not considered a close contact. Today, the White House plans to unveil details of a new minimum income tax for the wealthiest Americans. The administration says it's part of the president's budget proposal for fiscal year 2023. Dubbed the billionaire minimum income tax, it would assess a 20% minimum tax rate on households worth more than $100 million. The White House confirmed the plan over the weekend, saying the goal is to make sure that the ultra-rich don't pay a lower tax rate than teachers and firefighters. The president cannot raise taxes on his own. There's no clear picture yet about whether a billionaire tax has enough support from lawmakers to pass. The House panel investigating the U.S. Capitol insurrection is pushing ahead with contempt of Congress charges against 2 former Trump advisors. A committee report released last night shows Dan Scavino and Peter Navarro have both been uncooperative in the investigation. Scavino served as Deputy White House Chief of Staff. Tonight, the panel will discuss whether to hold the men in contempt of Congress. If the panel recommends criminal charges, those would go to the full House. Approval there would send the charges to the Justice Department, which does have final say on whether to prosecute. A man from Boone County is under arrest, accused of murdering his wife. Nikki Wilhoit was reported missing Friday morning when she didn't show up for work. Searchers found her body in a creek Saturday morning. Investigators say Andrew Wilhoit hit his wife on the head and dumped her in the creek, which is near their house in rural Lebanon. Wilhoit is now in the Boone County Jail. Today, work starts on a $6 million makeover of Broad Ripple Avenue. A kickoff ceremony was set for this morning where the street meets the Monon Trail. The project will widen sidewalks to make the area more pedestrian-friendly. Crews will also work to improve stormwater capacity, reduce flooding, and improve water quality. City planners say the phase that starts today will last about 4 months. After that, Broad Ripple Avenue will shut down between Primrose and College to finish construction in the fall. INDOT is closing East 71st Street underneath I-465 today. Drivers can use 75th Street, Shadeland, and Binford Boulevard as a detour. Crews will be working on widening the bridge for some more additional lanes. INDOT says 71st Street will reopen briefly in late May, but will stay closed for most of the year. And today, DPW is working to help better connect downtown by closing Market Street. The closure is between Illinois Street and Monument Circle. You can still head west on the street. If you're going east, DPW recommends taking Illinois to Ohio, then Pennsylvania. The end of a long pandemic timeout. Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving played a home game last night for the first time this season. Pandemic restrictions in New York City had prevented him from playing because he's not vaccinated. New York City Mayor Eric Adams decided last week to exempt professional athletes and performers from the rule. Irving did not play home or road games at the beginning of the season. Then the team activated him for road games only. His first game was here in Indianapolis in January against the Pacers. Indianapolis is about to make a sporting splash by hosting a major event in swimming. Our partners at the Indianapolis Business Journal report the city will host the U.S. Olympic swim trials for the first time in more than 2 decades. The story says the mayor, the Indiana Sports Corporation, and USA Swimming will make the formal announcement tomorrow. The natatorium at IUPUI last hosted the event in 2000. The IBJ report claims that Lucas Oil Stadium will hold the next one in an assembled pool similar to the one used in the 2004 FINA World Championships at what was then Conseco Fieldhouse. A new report claims many fast food wrappers have alarming levels of dangerous chemicals. The research is from Consumer Reports. The chemicals known as PFAs are used to keep wrappers and cups from getting soggy. Health experts say they can harm the immune system and make vaccines less effective. The report singles out packaging at several major chains. Nathan's Famous, Arby's, Burger King, and Chick-fil-A have all responded by saying they are phasing out PFAs. The average gas price in the United States has dropped 12 cents from the record high hit 18 days ago, going from $4.35 to $4.23 a gallon. For Indiana, the average has dropped 8 cents in that time frame, now sitting at $4.18 a gallon. Gas costs the most in LA right now at $5.99. The lowest average is in Tulsa, Oklahoma at $3.70 a gallon. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.